Okay, we're live.
Okay, it is 1:30 and we are live for the workshop of the BOCC for Monday, the 10th of May. First on our agenda, we have Mr. McLean with a fiber update.
Good afternoon, Commissioners.
Good.
I'm only choosing to come see you
Hi,
today
Jay.
because I'm going to be gone the rest of the week, and I just wanted to give you an update on the fiber and where we're at. There's been some pretty cool things happening. Construction-wise, they're just about done. They got about, maybe 800 feet left of construction to bore down around the Maxwell property where the signs are at. So when that's done, then they're going to be ready to pull fiber, and this is where we're running into our issue. The 864 count fiber is here. They've already pulled most of it. We're having a hard time getting delivery on the 1728. They keep postponing it. It looks like it's going to be this Friday. It's supposed to ship, I hope. But believe it or not, we're running into the biggest issue getting handholds, the concrete manholes. Now they're saying June. So Circle Z had enough of their own, so they put those in, and then when Rick gets his in, they'll just kind of make a trade there. That way the project keeps going. So
they'll just replace them?
Yeah.
So it's just a replacement?
Yeah. So, well, they won't replace them. They'll just trade. It's kind of like a trade. Friday, the hut got delivered, the one we were putting down on G2. So just so you all know, that hut was paid for by the 2210 Telecom. So they got the property donated, they got the hut donated. Obviously, we helped with some of the road-based stuff to flatten out the driveway, but they did everything else. They got the pad poured. So that's all done. We set it with a crane on Friday, so that's ready to have power put to it and all that stuff. So when that's done, we'll be rocking and rolling. Splicing is starting to happen. I met with him on Saturday. So my hope is that the rate it's going, at least we'll be ready to go for when Love's comes into place and we'll be able to light them up. On another positive note, this morning was the last one, but I've met with about, I want to say maybe 18 businesses up and down the road there. Spent a lot of time with them. It's all positive. These guys are so thankful to you all for making this project happen. Every one of them are like, where do I sign up? Where do I sign up? Where do I sign up? They're really excited about it. So I know that John Palmer with High Country, now it's Reed Hurst Trucking. He bought out High Country, but he wants to bore it to his property. So I'm like,
Is that
off of G,
24?
23.4 in G, but about maybe 3 blocks off of G,
South, yeah, okay.
just south. So I hooked him up with the contractor to do that. Like G. Willikers and the Honda shop and some of these others have already paid to have it bored to their property. So that's all done. I met with the Motel Eagle, White Eagle Motel.
Yeah.
Nice people.
White Eagle or White Feather?
White Eagle.
White Eagle, yeah.
Very, very nice people. They're really excited.
Just by the Honda shop.
Yeah, well, yeah, right by the Honda shop. So they just wanted me to let you all know that they're really thankful for what we're doing down there.
Sand District?
Pardon me?
Sanitation District?
Sanitation District, it's to their property. Now we just got to figure out how they're going to get it in. It's up to them at that point to get it into their building. But they know about it. So, good. It's all good.
Very good. And the fiber, the 1728, is that what you said?
Yes.
That's all we're waiting on, so the lower count fiber is already here?
The low count fiber is here. It's already pulled through from 7th and Sligo all the way down. And, well, if you drive south of town, you'll see a big spool of it over by the spray liners, kind of sitting outside Rocky Mountain Spray Liners fence. They've already pulled it this way, now they're just waiting to finish going the other way. Two things are waiting on for that. One is they have to finish the bore, and right now the big holdup is the Maxwell property. So we're trying to get Tom to call us back. We sent them an easement agreement, we talked to him. I know Jerry's talked to him, Rick's talked to him, I've talked to him. There's just kind of slowing the process a bit for that, but when we get that solved, and then Empire's gonna put the 2 poles in the ground for us on the bridge. So when we go down the highway, we're going aerial over the bridge and then back down. That's the only way it makes sense, because we can't do it on the bridge. CDOT said nope, because they're planning on widening that bridge or doing something, so they said absolutely not. So the poles are good, they've got them in stock, we're just waiting for the right time here, and then they'll put the poles in the ground and we'll go aerial.
Don't they have an aerial line down there right now?
Not on the bridge itself, not anything that we can attach to.
Okay.
So this way it'll be set off of CDOT right away, and then basically the county will own those poles. And then Rick and I had a really good meeting with Clint over at Empire last Thursday. So just to kind of talk about the future. I'm sure that Commissioner Lindsay will be busy with them at some point over there, but we did ask them to start thinking about the future. I have some ideas, so, and which is part of what I sent you guys this morning in email. So far so good. I think we're going to be on time. I really do. I don't see any reason why we won't be.
Because we're government.
Yeah, we're not letting anybody hold us up.
No, I think
We're just going.
I think we're on track.
We are
I
on
think
track.
We should be on track to finish at
Yeah.
the time frame that we had set forth, and those businesses will all be live, and
They will be,
hopefully
and
have
we
their
we do
presence.
have to give a big shout out to 2210 Telecom, because as a private company, they stepped up to the plate big time. And they didn't have to do this, but they chose to because they saw the big picture. So I'm thankful to them for this, because they really saved me a lot of figuring out how I was gonna pull this off.
Well, I think I'm thankful to all of them, everybody that's been involved.
Chuck Martin helped us out
get it
some
done.
down there. So that was a big help, because he had some conduit already running under the ground. So he helped us out a little bit. He wasn't happy at first, but he is now. You know how Chuck is. He's a good guy. So that's all solved. We're looking good. You know, hopefully the tribe will finish their project and come up south, and we've already given them a meet point. So that should help their project out big time. And that's kind of where we're at. Any questions on it?
I don't have any.
No,
I'll
thank
drive
you.
down there and look at the building, but I haven't.
Have you been down to see the hut?
I haven't.
When you get a chance, if you're down that way, you might just pop your head around. They did a really good job, and boy, hands up to Tucker Construction. They know how to use that crane. That was impressive.
Good. So
66,000 pounds. They picked it up and set it on that pad and was right on the money. First try. It was crazy.
set, and they're ready to start making their connection.
So I met, like I said, I met with our fiber splicing guy on Saturday. He was working on the one over by Mesa School. And, well, there's still quite a bit of work. There's still a couple, 3 weeks left of work to do in the hut. We have to get power to it. We got to get the fence around it. We got to wait till the cabinets get here. Hopefully they'll be here this week, and then we'll go put them together and get them ready to go. Those cabinets are what they splice it to. And then, yeah. we'll be
I
ready to
would
go.
suggest if you are going to swing by that you pick like a Sunday when they're not working on the intersection. Just
Well,
advice.
that's actually a really good valid point. When we were doing the hut to unload it, we were there almost 5 hours because he got caught in that construction. It took Bronson about 30 minutes to get through with the crane, and then we had to wait another 40 minutes for his semi with the counterweights on it to get through there. So it was a big problem. It's really congested down there right now.
Yeah, we had,
We
we
can
had the
go
fire
around on
down
the
there Friday,
backside.
too.
Go to the backside, that's
the
the way I
backside.
go. I go down Oak and come around.
Yeah, there are two ways to get there.
Unless there's a fire, and then they
Well,
make me
then
turn
We had
around.
traffic back clear, front of my house, clear up to Burger King.
Yeah, I heard that. I heard that.
All the way down to the intersection.
So if there's anything you guys want me to be aware of, let me know. If you're good, I'll just keep plugging forward the way I'm going, and I'm gonna get this done, and,
I mean, it sounds like you're on track, and we should still make our
yeah,
make our deadline date, if they send us the rest of the fiber.
there it is. But, you know, we'll manage. We're going to make this work. Yeah, we're gonna make this work somehow, one way or
I think the
another.
whole world's on back order.
Now, I meet with the contractors every Monday morning to make sure there's no issues, no hiccups. So I go down there and I keep them pretty much on their toes.
Sounds good. I don't have anything else.
Okay?
Okay.
I'll be off the rest of the week, so go from there.
Where is that fiber at? Do we need to go pick it up?
You know, it's not just fiber. Yeah, obviously you guys are all aware of it, but it's literally everything. And nearest we could come up with is part of it is last year, right? Everything being held up because of COVID, nobody worked, nobody manufactured, so now everything's catching up. Well, all the stock that they had built up before COVID is gone, and now we're sitting here waiting. Now, the high count fiber, what I do know is that they're manufacturing it, and then they get to a certain point, and then something's happening, and then they gotta reject it and rerun it back through. So I don't know if that's
Quality
just a story, if that's just an excuse. I don't really care as long as it gets here.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's everything though. It's cars, it's everything.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you for the update.
You bet.
Appreciate it.
Have a good week.
Thank you. I'll be in Tulsa.
All right. Well, so you're close to where that fiber's at, right?
No, I think it's coming out of California.
Oh, well, wrong way.
direction.
I probably answered all your questions right there.
All right. Next discussion is the free Adafite request.
And so Bonnie sent this over, giving us two separate proposals. One, if she were to try and hire actual, through 6 months through the end of the year. The other one, column B there, would be if she's trying to hire some high schoolers or something just to help for 3 months. The different cost analysis, basically, if she goes with a couple of people from high school, she can get it under $8,000. Just a reminder for the commissioners, the process we would need to do this, because for some reason the noxious weed department is organized under Road and Bridge, and this is work that occurs on private land, and the landowners contribute to the labor, but we can't use mill levies that were set aside for roads to do anything besides roads. So if the commissioners were to approve this, what we would have to do is do a transfer order and move the money from the general fund to the Road and Bridge Fund to be used for this. So my suggestion would be, if you guys decide that you're going to do this, would be, because she said there's grants that she might get, she might not get, she's going after them. My suggestion would be, if you approve this, to wait till the end of the year, find out what the actual dollar is after grants and everything, amend the budget and do the transfer order at the end of the year, rather than trying to guess and amend the budget twice.
Because column A is actually more than what she had presented to us last week.
Yes.
I think the last email that I had read, it was like 11,000
11,000.
and some change. I'll say 11,500.
Mhm.
And now we have two totally different numbers here.
Mm-hmm. And we did ask her to adjust the benefits down, because benefits wouldn't be included for a part-time job. We'd just have the ones that you have to pay, like our end of the Social Security and the workers' comp and that kind of stuff, which is nominal compared to health care and retirement and those types of things.
So I'll open it up to questions for you guys, because
I don't know that she'll find anybody that wants to work to help her with it, so.
I was
She's lucky
kinda-
to have what she's got, I think.
I was kind of thinking the same thing. I mean, we all are just having
So do we want
some of
to,
those conversations.
would you guys
that-
like to approve it and then each of us put $10 in a jar with our guess on when she gets an applicant?
Well, this is not just the run-of-the-mill type of hand either. This is kind of,
Well, and that's what on the high school side, what can they do for, as a high school kid? They can't run the equipment.
Well, no, she would split the crew she's got now
In
to
half
run
is
the
what she
equipment,
said.
and then this crew would go behind and treat the stumps and
treat
stuff
them.
like
I
that.
see.
So that way, she could keep the excavator and the masticator head running 7 days a week and try to make hay while we can, because assuming we get winter this year and there's any moisture, we can't get in those low areas with that excavator.
and
can't do it.
Bonnie, if you're listening, you can text me later, but I guess why are we, I know this is going to sound negative, but I have to ask the question. Why are we in May and now just asking for this, for a request now?
So, I can give a partial answer to that. Obviously, I'm not Bonnie. You're more aware than the other two commissioners of the funding she had put in from NRCS, that they said
They
she was awarded,
approved.
then they pulled it, then that didn't come through. So when it didn't come through, initially she was cutting off what she wanted to do. Now she's so backlogged with work that she's not thinking that she's thinking that if she doesn't do it this way, that she's not going to be able to get to all the properties that are requesting treatment this year. Although they cleared up a lot of Russian olives and salt cedars in McElmo Creek
On
from
Friday.
from 491 up to Oak Street this last
Yeah.
weekend. So.
Did they go in behind that and spray those?
Um,
Spray?
So there will be conversations happening between the cultural center that has the
Hawkins?
easement on the Hawkins Preserve and treating the root systems and revegetating with natural vegetation. And I think that Bonnie and James are involved in that.
Well, that'd be a good time to treat them now.
Now would be the right time to
Big
treat them.
mess.
Yeah.
But again, that's another 100 acres that she didn't have on her list. So if you guys, well, unless you get her like some kind of an unmanned aircraft with a remote that can
That's all.
drop the
But there
treatment.
again, that's all private property that would have to be, well.
Yeah.
that-
Some of that is, and some of that is, some of it's in like a recreation easement, some of it's in a historical easement, and some of it's private property, and then some of it belongs to the sanitation district. So there's a whole smattering of all kinds of stuff in that area. It's over 100 acres. so.
Which really isn't part of this proposal anyway.
No.
So we're kind of jumping out into the weeds.
It's what we do best.
Yeah. So I think we need to just bring it back and focus on what she has sent forward to us. I mean, we did save the money off the sign that we had budgeted for that we're not going to use.
Right.
I think we made that decision.
And I think our flooring bid came in a little under too. Of course, we're not done with it yet,
I was
but
going to say, yeah, we're not done, and they don't have any of the prep done.
Correct.
That's where that could be over, so.
Well, I think if she can get it done and use some high school kids and stuff, I think that's probably the best bet.
Yeah.
I really am, back to your first statement, I'm not sure she's gonna be
Well, that's the
successful.
thing,
But there again, we can't,
We
Yeah.
can't, that'll be up to her to
That's up
find
to
the
her.
help, and maybe she's got somebody lined out or something that'll.
so I think we've discussed everything we need to discuss here. I just put this under unfinished business for tomorrow, and we can actually, we'll have to vote on it
Yeah.
then. We can't really do anything now.
no, you can't make a decision
Right.
today. But
The only thing we can discuss more of kind of where we're leaning, whether it's option A or option B that you had proposed, and option A was the 25,000 and option B was the 16 16.5 or 16 and some change.
I thought
Mhm.
it was 8,000 or something.
Option B was eight grand,
Oh, was
eight
it
or
eight?
9
Okay.
grand. But, yeah, you could always start with option B, and if she's making hay and you think it's a wise investment to continue, you could authorize somebody to work longer later.
Right.
Well, we know that we have at least that discretionary funds, which was, I think we had 20, was it 20?
20 grand
Thank-
set
thank you.
aside for the sign. It was 20 even.
Was it 20? So, I mean, we're not quite to the 25, but I guess we could probably approve up to that amount and see what she gets done.
Like Joel said, she's gonna have to find the help.
Well, I think
Right.
we just
And-
start with that lower one and then,
See
like
where we
say,
go.
see where we go. If it turns into something where she needs more help, then,
Well, and then we know what else she's gonna be successful with
right,
the
and
grant.
by the
so-
grants and stuff, yeah.
That's true.
So we can put that back under unfinished business tomorrow, and we can actually vote on that. You guys good with that?
Yeah.
Let's see.
Although if you really want to get ahead of the free fights in this county, because they are everywhere, you can't drive past a drainage where that's not completely full. What you really ought to do is design one of those masticator heads that can be run from a helicopter and just go down the drainages and just,
Well, even over here, I hadn't been in Hartman Draw on the lower end down here in quite a while.
mm-hmm,
I was down there last summer, and, oh man, is it thick down there?
Oh,
Oh,
Everywhere.
man.
but, you know, some of this too, we can't, we've got to put back onto our,
Yeah,
hopefully our private property owners that are taking care of their property because they're sucking so much water.
correct, and there is onus on them, and they contribute to this. Part of the problem is the stinking government started the program that handed out all them free fights to begin with.
Well, that was Russian olive, not the salt cedars, so.
So what we ought to do is when we renegotiate, or when we're, the next time CSU, we bring up our MOU with them, they're not funding us another agent that they're supposed to be like, well, you guys handed out all these Russian olives, fund a Russian olive person too then.
Good luck with that.
All right, Shaq.
Russian olive person, huh? That would go a long ways.
Free Adafite crew member. Sheesh.
Team,
Go team.
Okay, I think we'll just make that decision tomorrow, which way we want to go, and pretty easy then. We've got both of them in front of us, so. Okay, office space discussion. Is this for the stuff we went and looked at the other day for the VA?
It is, and if you remember the last month, or the last week in April, when Clarissa presented for the district attorney, she presented that they needed office space for 4, possibly 5 people. They are renting space across Main Street from us now, and that the property they're renting it from is coming up for sale. So Commissioner Candelaria and I went and looked at some office spaces. I haven't seen a price come back on that yet, but Commissioner, I'll let you say what we found, and then the one other thing we're going to need to consider, Commissioner Stevenson, you've asked the clerk to look into doing driver's licenses, and she is looking into that. But again, if the clerk's office is able to take that on, they're going to need more space too. So,
Which is probably a bigger discussion.
which is part of another discussion, but it
Right,
falls
it is.
under
So-
office space.
So just when we went and looked at some office space, Clarissa said that they had written a grant and they have $1,000 a month that they are paying for rent right now. And this is not a program, it sounds like it's not so much a temporary program that it's gonna be a long, it's a long program. So right now they needed the 5 offices, and then she gave Shaq a breakdown of kind of the size, they needed like 10 by 12, something like that. But as we were looking at this, I'm like, okay, well, if we're gonna need this for an extended amount of time, maybe we're looking at this wrong and renting a space. Do we actually need to find something? And then that conversation came up too. We're not gonna have enough space.
Right.
So I think the bigger conversation here is how do we start planning for more space? And where do we plan for more space?
So that building that they're currently in, does it have more space than what they're using, or is that just, are they the only thing in that building, or?
No,
That they're
so we
currently
went and
in?
looked over here, what'd she say, there were 2 or 3 other people in there, but the office space, there's quite a bit of office space. There were 2, I don't have those in front of me, but one had like 1,100 square feet, and the other one that would accommodate them had about 1,200, maybe 1,300 square feet. That would give them their 5 or 6 offices, kind of a little conference room, not a real big, about like the planning office conference room, something small like that. So it would work, you know, actually for a long period of time, but are we, I guess my question is really
How responsible is it to keep spending taxpayer dollars on rent?
on rent.
Well, that's what I'm thinking, is if that building's big enough to accommodate them plus, maybe if it's for sale, maybe we should be looking into
Well,
buying that building, and then they wouldn't even have to move. And then we could add to it. It's not good.
I don't know if it was for sale or not.
Oh.
but-
Well, that's why they want out of it, is because he put it on the market.
Where's it at?
Corner of Chestnut and North Street,
Right.
on the southeast
Just a
corner.
little- It's like 1,200 square feet, Ken?
Yeah, so, there's a basement in it, and, Maley and Associates used to be in over there.
The only thing that we have to be cautious of is that every place we have has to be ADA accessible.
Right.
Yeah.
And the more multi-floor
Right.
buildings we get, the worse off we are.
Yep.
So we should be thinking of everything is accessible everywhere. That's what we run into problem with over at the clerk's office, because if you have to go see the assessor, that little
Yep.
lift, or you have to go all the way around. So it is
Or if you want to
accessible.
go into the vault at the bottom to do any research.
Yeah, we don't have one that goes down. So that's why which I think is a good thing, they were able to do their auction online this year and not have to utilize that space. So, the place that we were looking at belongs to the church, and it's right over here. It used to be the old Gamble's building.
Oh, yeah.
I call it that, but actually SHS had it for a while. And then they sold it to the church. So that's where we went and looked. It's just a block away. It's pretty quick and easy to the administration building. And that would, you know, again, I don't know what the DA, I think they were looking at some other spaces also.
Right.
But we don't have any more space in here.
And so, obviously, you guys don't even have enough information to make a decision today. But as far as long-term considerations go, we're not going to ever need less space. One thing that could be considered in a long-term plan too is whatever this building is here that's already in the same shared parking lot we have. What is it right now?
Used to be
3G
the
LLC
attorney
or whatever.
office.
And there's
Yeah.
attorneys and some accounting going on in there.
And then the other thought that I had was if you go out to the combined courts and the sheriff's office, instead of landscaping 7 acres out there, we put about 3,000 square feet. And then the DA is right next to the combined courts. Because I think it was right at 7 acres, right, Shaq?
Right.
So if you kind of see where the parking lot is at,
Mm-hmm.
and that parking lot would be shared, then this corner, which would be the southeast corner. Yep, would be,
Or right here.
it's,
southeast.
yeah, that one right there. the north is a detention pond, and if you look at that little
Yeah.
circle there, that's where the overflows are. But down here, it would be big enough to house, it's just a thought. We have the property. Obviously, my first thing is to repurpose something if we can, but if we can't repurpose it, then how do we start planning long range to get something? And instead of having to try and landscape this whole thing, we occupy another acre with a structure, maybe not quite an acre, maybe a quarter of an acre, but just thoughts. And then they're all right there where they need to be. They walk across the street and they're good to go because they don't have much interaction with administration, right? Then we could use this space up here to move. I think you were saying that we had other.
Well, we've got social service employees over in Annex 1 behind the health department. We got health department employees up above us on the third floor with social services. I mean, we could do some reconfiguring and put
focus on
groups
getting
back
everybody
together.
in their right,
Apartments,
in their
yeah.
right, kind of their right spot.
Actually, we've got social services employees both in the space that extension and the weed department share and in the place shared by the senior center and veteran services. We've got a part of social services there and part of social services upstairs here and part of social services downstairs on the east side and on the west side here. So, and then we got part of the health department, most of the health departments over at Annex 1 on the south side, but the rest of them are upstairs with social services. So,
Also, too, just looking at this complex to keep as we're so scattered out right now, we kind of need to get them back together. So those are a couple of my thoughts, Shaq's thoughts. We're just trying to figure out if this is going to be a long-term deal. We need to figure out something long-term, not just 12 months.
Right.
And I've thought high and low of buildings that we could repurpose. Obviously, I don't know if the church would be interested in doing anything, but it's,
So we don't know if that building's for sale or?
no, and we didn't even cross that road. We just, because then it's quick and easy.
There's a lot of room in that building too.
And it's
It
already
also
there.
has a basement, but
Yeah. And I don't know, I obviously haven't reached back out to Clarissa to see what their ideas are after the buildings that they've looked at.
yeah, I
I
haven't
think she
heard
said
back
she
from her
looked at
yet either.
someplace else,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know if it was the Johnson building or what, but.
So is there something in this little building that's out back here now? Close to our parking lot or?
So
think
this
they're-
one here, I don't know what's actually in it. It says it's owned by 3G LLC, but I don't know what they do.
Do you guys know of any other places that we could repurpose, or?
There's a lot of empty buildings out there in the old Walmart deal out there, but I don't know what all that consists of.
I think those were retail space. I don't think there's any offices in any of them. And I could be wrong, but I think they're all retail, right? They're just big, open.
Right.
I think this deal where Nero's used to be is open too,
Yeah.
but that's kind of way out of the way from everything. I don't know that that's convenient for anybody, nor do I know it would make good office space.
Up there in the right hand, the Price Mine Service,
Uh-huh.
isn't that building for sale?
It could be. I don't know.
So I guess what we ought to do is kind of really,
It looks like it's sold in April 6th
Okay.
of this year, so I'm
so it
guessing
probably
it's
was
not.
for sale.
Probably was
Yeah.
until we needed to buy a building.
Well, Benny's Diner's up for sale, but that's,
Not much for
no,
offices.
I mean, we'd have to totally,
And it's up some stairs. There's
Yeah,
no-
it's-
No handicap, much handicap.
and I guess that's
availability.
my biggest thing is that we need to try and focus on a single level if we at all can.
That medical office building is for sale, isn't it?
Which one is it?
33 North Elm, just behind Benny's, to the alley there?
This here?
No, that's
That's Benny's.
up there, right there.
I don't know whether it's for sale or it isn't. It could be.
It's a really old building, and it had doctor's offices in it.
Yeah, I know which one you're talking about, a long time ago.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the old Southwest.
Yeah, Southwest
So
was in
did-
there at one
Yeah.
time.
Did SHS have that also?
I think so at one time.
Current owner is Global Assist.
I don't know who that is.
I mean, to me, the best spot is our own property right out by the courthouse. You know, it may take a little bit of dirt work, but we already own the property, and it puts
Yeah.
everybody right where they need to be. They're
I,
walking
I
across
agree with that. It may be more cost
Parking lot.
effective to buy something else though. I don't know.
Well.
Especially
it-
with building
It probably would
materials.
be more cost effective, and we're repurposing something that's
When,
vacant.
when I go in to make my second payment on my property taxes, will the county accept OSB or plywood? I have a few sheets.
We'll take that up for further review.
Yeah, you can't make a decision on that today.
So I guess we'll wait to see what the DA's office comes back to us and see what they like the best, but I think for us, we need to just start
That property out around
thinking about it.
the combined courts, you think Indy Dwell would have anything they could do out there?
Who?
Indy Dwell, those people who are building
They,
buildings,
they need 10 acres.
they need 10 acres?
Yeah.
I mean, building us a building.
Maybe. It's a discussion I'm willing to have. I think they mostly do residential. I don't know that they do
This is gonna
office.
be a simple, in my mind, this is a simple,
Right.
I mean, you could almost, a rectangle or a square, whatever fits on that piece of property,
Yeah.
and make it.
Well, Indy Dwell builds those buildings out of zircons, you know, and
Because it's just
something
gonna be for
prefab,
offices.
something prefab to just plunk it in there.
So those were the thoughts that Shaq and I had kind of bounced around a little bit after talking to Clarissa that day. You know, it really seems like we can find something temporarily for a year, but we probably better plan on.
Right. Because that's something that's never going away. We don't need to just
Yes.
rent forever to.
Right. Unless you guys know of someplace else that we didn't,
I don't know of any.
because office space is a little bit different than
Right.
retail space.
Yeah.
And that we don't have to go in and totally remodel it to make it. But we have went and at least looked at some buildings for them so that, you know, her request is for
We
the
can see what
space.
she
We can-
has and see what Kim comes back with on that other deal, and maybe. if they
Because
come
I don't
back
know if they
together,
need
all
2 or 3 more for
Right.
them.
Their parking lot's being used again. I think they're
Is it?
back to open.
Okay.
Who's that?
Osprey. I think they're back to open now.
They're open.
Yeah.
So we might need 10 spaces now instead of 5.
Right.
And like anything else, probably better plan for a little bit more than what we need
Right.
because it'll get occupied.
Yeah, if you have more than you need, you can always rent them out. So,
Do you guys want to, I mean, do you want to even go as far as trying to talk to like an architect or somebody to just have a conversation, not necessarily hire anybody, but who did that architectural work over there? I don't even remember.
oh, I wasn't a part of that, so I'd have a hard time remembering.
Well, I guess we could find out, but it doesn't matter. We could just find anybody locally, because I'm talking just small.
A single level, 6, 8, 10 office space.
Yeah, it'd be 3,000, 4,000 square feet, something relatively small. But it would still be big enough to accommodate them if they needed it, and just a few extra spaces.
Right.
What do you guys think about that? Just for a plan, not to say that,
Yeah, start snooping
just something
around.
Yeah, it wouldn't hurt
conceptual.
to look and see, because,
I mean, just to get it planned is gonna take us several months, and then if we do decide to go that way, there's still the process to go through the planning and zoning through the city. I mean, it would be looking, we're down the road a way. Okay. All right, anything else?
Not on that.
Okay. All right, next on the list, take it away, Shaq.
So we don't know what Gallagher is going to be replaced with. We know every projection we see is increasing costs. The projections that you have mentioned could be coming down are decreasing revenue. We know benefits continue to go up. Costs of everything is continuing to go up. And right now, property owners pay for 100% of every service the Montezuma County provides. People who are renting aren't contributing. Tourists that come through are not contributing. Anybody who comes through that's not a property owner that uses our infrastructure, our emergency services, or anything else we have is not contributing. So everybody says, well, I guess we just keep on doing things the way we've done them before and see what we get. And I don't know how you guys feel about that.
You know, this has been kicked around for 20 years. It was written in, like you said, in the original land use code to be
And the
done.
comp plan, I think in 96, right? Or
Yeah.
Late 90s.
Late
Say
90s, yeah. So a lot of perception out there is that we do already have a sales tax.
Correct, which hopefully we clarified the other day by letting people know that we do not have a sales tax for Montezuma County General, the Montezuma
Or
County
any Montezuma County fund.
Health, Montezuma County Hospital District.
Which is not the
has-
county. They just
No,
have,
it
they
is-
just located in the county. They are not the county.
Correct. The county has to
That's like
collect
saying
them.
Montezuma RE1. The school district is not controlled or associated with the county.
Correct, and I think we've made that very clear. So if it's not clear, again, that goes to the hospital district. It does not have anything to do with Montezuma County's general fund that we operate under. So, go ahead, Ken, I'm sorry.
And it's been kicked around, but the ultimate say comes from the taxpayer, because they have to vote on this. And I have no problem asking them. I mean, my dad always preached to me, if you don't ask, you don't get. So, we ask. They'll either tell us yes or no.
And I think that's kind of where I'm at also. You know, we keep seeing the increasing costs, the declining revenue. You know, we're getting hit all the time with, you know, paid benefits, defined benefits, insurance, and we're just not keeping up. But yet, we're having to run all the calls to take care of all the stuff.
Yeah.
And there again, it's
I
an
mean-
ask. I think we just have to educate people to let them know that there is not, we do not function under any sales tax at all. And then the other thing is to put the math together to see really what that number should be.
Right, and
And that's-
I think more, we need to be really specific what the money's going to be used for. We just say it's gonna be, we're gonna put it in the general fund, they're gonna say no.
No, we,
And I-
we can't say anything like that, but
Right.
they're coming to us for a lot of things. They want us to do something about substance abuse. They want us to do something about the mental health problems. Our sheriff is continually seeing more and more calls for services. We've got infrastructure that needs to be maintained and replaced and added to. There's a lot of things that they've asked us to fund.
And the only way we can fund them is to figure out how to get,
Right, we rob Peter to pay Paul, is where it goes.
or we start.
Yeah,
Well,
Basically, what we're gonna get stuck is we're gonna have to,
we're gonna
The
get
services
costs.
We're
are
gonna
gonna
end
go
up cutting
down.
services
Right.
instead of
Right.
providing services.
Well, it's time
eventually.
for everyone that uses these services to pay their fair share is what it is.
and not just the
Not just
property
the-
owners.
Cause what, we got 72% public land, so we got
Yeah. 27%.
Twenty-seven percent private property owners that are paying the bill for everything. And it's not fair to the private property owners to have to foot the bill for everybody that comes through this community and uses the services and.
So I think if we decide to go down this road, we definitely, wouldn't get on until the 2022 ballot. But that gives us enough time to do the education, which is
And
gonna
talk
take
to-
a
yeah.
lot of time
Yeah,
of us to do the education, so that people understand it. Which then, I mean, Shaq had an idea the other day where we were talking, having somebody that could kind of help guide us or direct us in the direction or the path that we might need to go down as far as the education and the outreach that we need to do.
Yeah, no sense reinventing the wheel. It's ask somebody that's been there and done that.
Right, and we are legally handicapped. We cannot oppose or promote any tax resolution with tax dollars. So we have to be careful what we spend doing it.
Mhm. So, I mean, yeah, here again, it's just a conversation.
Right.
What kind of a direction do we think?
Yeah, this is what we're
Yeah.
asking for, this is what it's gonna be used for, and then you shut up.
and then it'll be up to the voters of Montezuma County whether they want it or not.
To
And-
educate,
Yeah.
But it's time to take some of the burden off of the landowners.
Of the property owners, I
Yeah.
agree. Because they're paying
They're
the
footing the
lion's
bill
share of
for
it all.
everything, yep.
Yeah, I just got my reval,
Yeah.
which I'm not gonna object to, but my property value went up another 26,000.
My,
So,
my residential property went up and my commercial property went down.
And that's,
That's, the
really,
yes. And that's the
So-
first time I've seen my commercial property go down.
I mean.
that's okay, that's the one you pay the most taxes on.
Yes.
We'll find another way to take it out of you.
If we're gonna go down this road, guys, I think, it's already May. I think it's gonna take a few months to get organized, to get squared away, and then it's gonna be a long campaign of trying to figure out how to. But, here again, our costs for everything continue to rise, and it seems like we're on a decrease.
And CO2 production is down.
Well, it's, and could continue to go that way.
Right.
At least for the next 4 years, it's probably
Yep.
going to.
Which is going to directly affect us. So we've got decisions to
Well,
make of.
and you gotta think, our industry has 3 pillars, right? We've got oil and gas. We know over a third of our budget alone comes from Kinder Morgan. And then we've got agriculture, which has been devastated by the drought. And then we've got tourism, which the forests were full, but none of the businesses were benefiting from that last year, and the county doesn't without a sales tax anyway. Those three have all been hit, and then everything else in our economy is the supporting services, the hospitality, the government, the hospitals, all the things that, the schools, all the things that you need to support the other things. So with oil and gas under attack, and with the drought, and with what we were dealt with tourism,
We have the commercial side, the retail side. Retail, a lot of retail establishments were down.
correct, the small
And
retailers
They
were.
have a hard time paying those property taxes.
Yeah. And you know, the town of Mancos, the town of Dolores, the city of Cortez, every single quarter have reported gangbuster sales taxes. Most of it coming in from Amazon and online shipping and wherever. And if we had that, we could have, I'm not saying that this was
Yeah.
gonna happen, but we
We're
might
late
could
to
have
the
given
party,
a
you
break to the property taxpayers after last year. The businesses that were hurt, we could say, hey, well, we made it up in our portion of the property taxes and all these excess sales taxes, we could maybe give you a break or something, but we don't even have that option.
What, we are one of, I think you told me last time, 6 counties that doesn't have a sales tax in the
Ish.
state. And I hate the word tax, but
Yeah, me too.
we're gonna use the word tax or fee or do whatever, it's
But-
all the same thing. But this one, they get to vote on and they say yes, and
Right.
if they say no, then we figure out, okay, what do we start cutting? Because
Right.
I think that's what we're gonna be faced with eventually.
Well, and to be fair, of course, I've only been up here 2 years, but both years we've told our department heads, cut where you can cut. And when I was a department head before, back in 2016, we were told everybody cut 10%. This last year I told everybody cut 1%. Eventually, you're gonna be out of stuff you can cut, especially with rising prices.
Well, you've cut 11% in 2 years, and inflation is what?
Well, we haven't cut it 11% in 2 years. That was,
Inflation of
10%
your-
was in
Especially
2016.
your insurances and fuel costs, and all, parts, equipment, everything else is
Right.
way up. They're saying 7% inflation, I don't think so. Not when lumber's up 300%.
It's unfortunate that the only source of revenue that the government has is to tax people. And there keeps being more and more of a demand for government services.
Yep.
So,
And I've been talking to a lot of people about this, and there's some mixed emotions out there, but it's
course.
been pretty positive, a lot of the people I've talked to about it.
again,
Knowing
that's part of just the
knowing
education
that-
component of it.
we can maybe help the landowners out a little bit and have everybody pay their fair share. So,
Because if it does, and like I said, that was on the agenda that was coming in, they dropped it into the tank last week when I gave you that legislative update. So they are looking at it, they're planning on it, and if it goes to the 6 point, what did I tell you, 6.25 or something, and then
For the residential. yeah.
26% for the commercial, I mean, that's,
Yeah,
those are both decreases, so, just to stay at status quo, we gotta do something different.
And some of that'll be offset by rising property values, but I
Correct.
don't know that all of it, well, it's hard to say what part, and of course, real estate is volatile. Some years it'll be better and some years it won't.
So do we want to, as far as direction for staff, do we want to have them look into this more and then we make a decision in 30 days?
I don't know
What
if
do you
30
guys-
days is enough time to give you all the information you need.
Do you think 60 days?
I
mean,
can give you a
guess-
status update in 30 days.
And then we can make an actual decision if we're going to move forward in 60 days, Shaq? You think that's,
Right.
do you think that's,
I think so.
that puts us basically in June? And then how long it starts the campaign to get it, the education out there to people?
All right.
right.
So I guess that's the direction, we'll put it back to staff and then we'll go from there, Shaq.
Roger that.
All right, something that wasn't on the agenda, and I'll bring you guys up to speed real quick. After we had our CDOT meeting on Wednesday, I reached back out to Julie Constant, who was running the meeting the other day for us. And she did say that they had this striping figured into their budget for P Road, but they didn't have the milling, which is what she
Right.
said. So on the conversation on the backside of it, I said, so if we were able to get the milling done for you, then you would still patch it and move forward with that also. So what we're talking about is 491, the left-hand turn lane to the west, because it's super busy on N and P. They've done the study, they know that they need it.
Oh, yeah.
It's just a matter now of we can do it. N is gonna get done because it doesn't have the rumble strips on it, but P, I drove back out there and it does about 200, I'm guessing maybe 300 feet to the south, which is not enough for a turning lane for a AC lane coming onto it.
Mhm.
So, had a conversation with Rob. He had reached out, well, I had called Four Corners called him back, and then he was gonna call a couple other local guys here to see if we could just get it to where we mill it, and then they'll patch it and stripe it. And we'll just have to figure that out, but, you know, it may cost us a little bit, but if they have it in their budget to get it done, well, they're here painting, I think, for us to not help them on that intersection P.
That's a very dangerous.
P's a priority,
Yeah.
but N is starting to get a lot busier too.
Yep, and they're gonna get.
They're gonna
run down.
do N already.
It's just the rumble strips which creates that, because they're gonna now be in the AC lane getting back
Right.
on, and they can't do that. So Rob's working with a couple guys here locally to see what we can do, but, and here again, we don't have any cost yet, but I think we're gonna have to figure out, we could probably figure out how we can drum that up too. I don't think it's gonna be substantial, but just to bring it up to speed, because she did say that they didn't have that, so we're working on it. And then
And then I talked to John a little bit about Road 37, and he was gonna talk with the planning department and see if they couldn't figure out something to get that
one lot,
figured out over there, 'cause it's not, you can't hold one guy up for one lot because of their count's too much.
well,
I can
and
see
and
the-
she said they were gonna restripe that too, so hopefully that helps, and then
Right.
that allows that, because that was a big piece of property, right? Like 40 acres or something.
Yeah. But it's pretty hard to tell a guy that wants to build one house on 40 acres that he's gotta spend $1 million upgrading the
CDOT.
CDOT deals for one, because the other developments got in there before him. So,
I've got one more deal I'd like the board to think about. I don't obviously need direction today, but the flooring bids that we awarded last week, even with local preference, we still ended up having to give the bid to a contractor out of Farmington, because his price was, even after local preference was considered, he was still $20,000 cheaper. As I got to thinking about it after the fact, I realized, being in a border town, we're a little bit disadvantaged, because minimum wage we have to pay for laborers here is $12. Minimum wage a Farmington company has to pay is $9 an hour. When you're talking about the square footage of 3 of our buildings, that $3 an hour plus benefits can add up to quite a bit of difference. So I was wondering, that bid's said and done, it is what it is, but I'm wondering if we ought to modify our procurement policy to require out-of-state bidders to pay at least Colorado minimum wage to level the playing field on that.
That'd be only fair.
And I'm fine with that too. So what I'm familiar with is the Davis-Bacon wage scale. So it's county by county, but it's established for the state of Colorado. So within this county, if you're gonna do work for Montezuma County, you have to pay at least what this guy's paying to be
Right.
competitive. So you really are, like you said. So I think once you can define that, to say this is the minimum wage scale, which then brings on certified payroll, because that's the only way that you can certify that they've actually paid that. So, how do you, I think it's fair.
Yeah, well, I mean, when you think about the square footage of 3 of our buildings and the laborers it takes, at a difference of $3 plus benefits, so probably $4.50 an hour per employee, I mean, that can add up quite a bit on something like this.
Yeah, it could be
And that could be the
10
same
grand,
for
15
any,
grand.
that could be the same for any project we do. It could be roofing, it could be flooring, it could be some kind of solar, whatever, it could be. I just think it would do more to help our local people if we required, since we border states where minimum wage is so much lower, to step it up. Not for all their jobs, but for the jobs they bid for us.
So we'll just have to figure out the language, and I don't know if that is with John, but, just to make sure that or we just use the Colorado Division of Labor's wage scale
Yeah.
and say,
Here's the wages you have to pay, and then, like you said, we've got to verify that, and I'm not sure how that part of it works, but.
it's not super complex, but it is more work for staff. It is gonna be more work for staff if we decide to go down that route.
And I think it's only fair though to the local businesses.
Yeah.
Right, because they have,
If that's what's causing the difference in the bids, then
well,
that'll just level the playing field for everybody.
Well, I mean, that's not the only thing. Like, I'm sure a flooring company at Farmington buys product in bigger quantities and gets a
Probably.
discount on product and whatever, so, but it's one thing that we could do to help level
Right.
the playing field.
okay. That's all I had. That was just the extra one that I didn't.
That's all I've got.
You have any extra that you brought up?
No,
You
I
brought
can't
up,
think of
Joe?
anything.
Okay, so just a quick update. We're gonna add the free out of fight for a decision tomorrow under unfinished business, the office-based discussion. You've got direction. I'll work with Schaff and see if we can't find just some preliminary concepts with somebody local, architect or somebody like that. Or out of Durango or wherever we can find them, to see if that would work on our own property out there. We can, we sure can. And
Can you
that's-
do a design build in the city?
You bet.
Can you?
Because the conceptuals have to be done up front, and then once we pick the design, that team, then they have to go through the process. So
Mhm.
yes, it can absolutely be done. And then, we're gonna give Shaq 30 days to bring us back a preliminary conversation for the sales tax, and then in 60 days, we'll put it on there so that we'll be able to make a decision one way or another. And then that gives us 60 days too for the 3 of us to get out and
Yeah.
just really start quizzing people and trying to make an education start of it also. All right, if you guys don't have anything else, I think that wraps it up, Shaq, and you're gonna be able to catch your meeting.
Yep, I
which
got a
is what
3
you said
o'clock.
you needed to do, so.
Yep.
Get my taxes.
All right, guys, with that, we'll end this meeting. Thank you all.